Hey everyone, welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at epilepsy,
Oh, wow.
but we're going beyond like the typical, medical explanations.
Okay.
We're going to be using transcripts from these hypnotic regression sessions,
Interesting.
and the researcher was exploring like the esoteric side of epilepsy.
Okay.
So things like metaphysical causes and even potential links to like energetic influences.
That's a very different way of looking at epilepsy.
Yeah. And we're going to try to be objective about this information, but obviously,
Right.
it's up to you to decide what you think about it all.
For sure, for sure.
So one of the themes that kept popping up in these sessions was this idea of like energetic disruptions being like a root cause of epilepsy.
Yeah, and they describe these in like really vivid terms.
Yeah.
They use words like overloads and short circuits in the nervous system.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of times they're linked to like stress or, really intense emotions or
Right.
even like outside things that are influencing it.
Now, when they say energy, like it's kind of vague, right?
Right.
Could they be talking about, the nervous system's electrical activity?
It's possible, right? I mean, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Could be like a metaphor for the electrical and chemical stuff that's
Right.
happening in the brain.
Okay.
I mean, stress and emotions definitely have a measurable effect on our nervous system.
Oh, for sure.
So maybe that's what they're getting at.
Yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
There was this one session that I thought was really interesting.
Okay.
It involved like a young man who was on vacation,
Uh-huh.
and all of a sudden he has a seizure.
Wow.
And the hypnotized subject said it was because of an energy overload from satellites.
What? Yeah,
That's crazy.
I know, right? I
Yeah.
mean, can we really say that satellites are causing epilepsy?
I mean, I don't know about that, but
Yeah.
but it does make you wonder,
Yeah.
could those electromagnetic fields from outside
Yeah.
be messing with our brains and our nervous systems in some way?
It's definitely something that needs to be looked into more.
For sure. It makes you think about all those invisible forces out there
Absolutely.
and how they could be affecting us.
Right. It's like
Maybe-
we're all connected in ways we don't even realize.
Yeah, and maybe our bodies are picking up on things that we're not even aware of.
Exactly.
Another thing that popped up a lot was this idea of internal conflict contributing to epilepsy.
Mm.
Like there's this disconnect between, a person's essence,
Right.
their soul,
Okay.
and their conscious thoughts and beliefs.
So it's like a misalignment
Yeah.
between who we really are
Yeah.
deep down
Right.
and how we're actually living.
Exactly.
And the sessions suggest that inner struggle,
yeah.
could create these blockages, that
Yeah.
mess up the energy flow in the body.
So like what are the practical implications of that?
Right.
Could therapy or meditation
Yeah.
help to bridge that gap
Interesting question.
and maybe reduce seizures? Did they talk about that at all?
They didn't really get into specific therapies,
Okay.
but they do give us a new way to think about epilepsy,
Okay.
more holistically, looking at the whole person.
Right.
Not just the physical stuff.
Right. The physical and the non-physical. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's this idea of a matrix program,
Okay.
which I have to admit is a little mind-boggling.
Yeah, they can be a bit out there.
What exactly are they talking about?
So they describe it as this like rigid, energetic grid
Okay.
that gets imposed on someone, especially after they get a diagnosis like epilepsy.
Oh.
So think of it like a set of beliefs
Okay.
or energy patterns
Okay.
that are just reinforcing the condition.
So you're kind of stuck in a box energetically.
Yeah, kind of.
But if it's possible to get stuck, could you also choose to step outside of it?
I mean, that's a really interesting question.
Yeah.
It's like, are our perceptions and beliefs actually affecting our health, even physically?
Mm.
And, there's this whole field now, psychoneuroimmunology,
Yeah.
that's looking at the connection between the mind, the immune system,
Right.
and the nervous system.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
So it's like this mind-body connection
Right.
where our thoughts and beliefs are actually influencing our well-being.
Yeah.
But then they also talk about environmental factors too.
Yeah. They bring up some concerns about things like, electromagnetic pollution from technology,
Right.
chemical toxins in our food and the environment,
Okay.
and even just the constant noise and all the sensory overload that we deal with in modern life.
Yeah.
They're suggesting that these things could be like triggers for energetic disruptions.
So are they saying that reducing our exposure to those things could help manage epilepsy?
I mean, they don't really give like a step-by-step guide,
Okay.
but they definitely encourage being more mindful of your environment.
Yeah.
Like minimizing exposure to those stressors could create like a more supportive energy
Right.
around you.
It's really interesting to think about how our environment
Yeah,
could be playing a role in something like epilepsy,
it definitely adds another layer to the whole thing.
for sure.
And it shows just how complex this condition really is.
Right.
You know, there could be so many factors,
Yeah.
both inside and outside.
Both internal and external.
Yeah.
When they describe the energetic state of someone during a seizure, it's crazy how vivid the descriptions are.
Yeah, they're really intense.
Yeah, they talk about the mental body shaking violently, like being electrocuted,
Wow.
or feeling like their energy is being drained,
Right.
leaving them empty afterwards.
Yeah, those descriptions really give you a glimpse
Yeah.
into what it feels like to have a seizure from an energetic perspective.
Like a temporary power outage in the brain.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good way to put it.
Right.
It makes you think like what's actually happening on an energetic level
Yeah.
during a seizure.
What's causing that disruption? One of the most interesting things was how they described the subconscious mind during a seizure.
Yeah.
Like it withdraws or becomes inactive. It's almost like it's stepping back
Right.
to protect itself from that surge of energy.
Yeah, one subject even said it was like the subconscious throwing up its hands out of frustration.
Like it's giving up.
Yeah. It's like it's saying, I can't deal with this.
It's a fascinating image.
Yeah.
Could it be that the subconscious is trying to tell us something through those seizures?
That's a really profound question.
Like it's trying to get our attention.
Yeah, maybe there's a deeper meaning behind these episodes
Right.
that we miss if we only focus on the physical symptoms.
Like it's trying to speak to us
Exactly.
in a language we don't understand.
It could be.
Wow.
And these sessions really encourage us to pay attention,
Okay.
to listen to those hidden messages that our bodies are sending.
Right.
You know.
That's where these sessions take a really interesting turn. They start talking about how perceptions of epilepsy have changed throughout history. It's amazing how differently it's been viewed over time.
It really is, yeah.
Like in ancient times, it was seen as a divine or sacred illness.
Really?
Yeah, like associated with visions and prophetic abilities.
Wow.
But then later on, it was like demonized,
Oh, wow.
seen as possession or witchcraft.
What a shift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the sessions suggest that these changing perceptions could be because of different types of like energetic interferers or entities. Yeah, attaching themselves to people with epilepsy.
I mean, that's a pretty out there idea.
I know, right?
But, you know, and it does make you think about how powerful cultural beliefs and fears are.
Yeah.
You know, they shape how we see illness.
Right, even today.
Absolutely.
So even if those entities sound a little far-fetched,
Right.
it raises a good point about how societal attitudes
Yeah.
can really affect how we treat certain conditions.
They can shape the whole conversation.
For sure. They also had some different views on the role of genetics in epilepsy.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Some subjects saw a clear genetic link, like it's an inherited energy pattern, passed down through generations.
Right.
But others emphasized environmental factors and lifestyle choices.
Okay.
Like even if you have a genetic predisposition, you could overcome it through conscious effort and self-care.
So it's like nature versus nurture.
Yeah.
But on an energetic level, I mean, if our environment and choices can actually affect our genes,
Right.
like epigenetics suggests,
Yep.
then we have more control over our health than we think.
Right. We're not just victims of our genes.
Exactly.
We can actually do something about it.
We have an active role to play.
That's empowering.
It is.
Okay. So that brings us to a serious topic.
Okay.
Sudden unexpected death in epilepsy, or SUDP.
Right.
It's a major concern for people with epilepsy.
Absolutely.
And the sessions have a pretty chilling perspective on it.
Oh, wow. What do they say?
They describe SUDP as like an act of the energetic system,
Okay.
or even a parasite.
The parasite.
Yeah, reclaiming a person's energy.
Wow.
When they reach a certain level of awareness or are on the verge of a spiritual breakthrough.
That's unsettling.
I know, right?
It's thought-provoking,
Yeah.
but it also feels like it could be minimizing the real dangers of the condition.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, it's important to remember
Right.
that these are alternative perspectives.
For sure.
And they have their limitations.
Absolutely.
We're really dealing with the limits of our knowledge here.
Yeah.
There's still so much we don't know about epilepsy.
We're just scratching the surface.
Yeah, from both a medical and energetic perspective.
Exactly.
That's what makes this deep dive so fascinating, like the journey into the unknown.
It is.
Exploring all these different perspectives that challenge us to think outside the box.
Absolutely.
So even if these sessions don't give us all the answers, they definitely give us a lot to think about.
Yeah, they really get the wheels turning.
It's a good reminder that there's always more to learn.
For sure.
More to explore and understand.
Absolutely.
About being human.
Yeah.
This has been a truly mind-blowing conversation so far.
It has been really interesting.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
I know. I can't wait to dive in deeper.
We'll be back with more from these hypnotic regression sessions in part 2.
Okay, sounds good.
Of this deep dive into the mysteries of epilepsy.
Great. Welcome back to our deep dive into epilepsy.
Yeah, we're picking up where we left off with these hypnotic regression sessions.
Right, and all the strange things they're saying.
Yeah, it's really fascinating stuff.
They talk a lot about the energy dynamics during a seizure.
Okay.
And one thing that comes up again and again is this idea of energy being, like, drained away.
Yeah, you're right. Several subjects described feeling like their energy was being pulled out, especially through the back of the head.
Interesting.
One even compared it to a vacuum cleaner sucking out their energy.
Wow.
Pretty wild imagery, right?
Yeah, makes you wonder.
It does.
Could there be something out there that's actually benefiting from all this energy being released during a seizure?
I mean, that sounds like science fiction.
Yeah, it does a little bit.
But even if we don't go down that road,
right,
it still points to something major happening with energy during a seizure.
Absolutely. And that's something that, traditional medicine doesn't really address.
Yeah, you're right.
So I'm curious, what did the sessions say about using medication to manage epilepsy?
Well, it seemed like there were a lot of different opinions.
Okay.
Some subjects saw medication as a necessary tool, to stabilize the energy flow in the brain.
Right.
Like a way to reduce the intensity or frequency of seizures.
Okay.
But then others saw it as a form of suppression, like masking the real problem.
Right.
Instead of dealing with the underlying energy imbalance.
Yeah. So it's like, it helps on one hand, but maybe hinders real healing on the other.
Yeah, it's a tough one, and I don't think there's an easy answer.
It's a personal decision.
Right.
Each person has to weigh the pros and cons.
Exactly, and talk to their doctor.
Of course.
And make the best choice for them.
Right, and part of that is being open to all the options.
For sure.
Conventional and alternative.
So beyond medication, did the sessions explore any other approaches to healing and transformation?
They did, and several subjects described people who were able to completely overcome their epilepsy.
Really?
Yeah, through self-awareness, energy work, and lifestyle changes.
That's inspiring.
Yeah.
Can you give us some examples of what they were talking about?
Well, they mentioned things like meditation yoga and energy healing. They also talked a lot about reducing stress.
Right.
Eating mindfully and connecting with nature.
So it's about the whole picture.
Yeah, the mind, body, and spirit all connected.
One subject described healing as reprogramming the brain's energy flow.
Interesting.
Like rewiring those neural pathways to create a more balanced state.
That makes sense with what we know about neuroplasticity.
Right. The brain's ability to adapt and change.
Yeah, exactly.
So if our brains are that adaptable, then it stands to reason that practices like meditation and energy work could have a real impact.
They could be changing the physical structure of the brain.
But did they give any examples of people actually achieving this reprogramming?
Well, they didn't give any specific case studies.
Okay.
But they did talk about the potential for transformation.
Right.
Like if we consciously change our thoughts, our beliefs, and our behaviors, then we can change our energetic state.
Okay.
And create the conditions for healing.
So we're not just powerless.
No. We have more agency than we think.
We can actually influence our own well-being.
Exactly.
Now, we keep talking about energy.
Right.
But did they ever clarify what they mean by that?
That's a good question, and I don't think they ever gave a clear definition. They use the term pretty broadly. Everything from electrical activity in the brain to these more subtle energy fields.
So it's kind of up to us to decide what they meant.
In a way, yeah.
Okay.
And that allows us to explore different possibilities.
Right.
And consider different perspectives.
What's striking is how these sessions challenge our usual understanding of epilepsy.
They really do.
It's like they're saying there's more to it than just the physical.
Right.
We need to consider consciousness, energy, and even spirituality.
It's a whole new way of thinking about it.
Yeah, it's like a new language
Exactly.
That includes both the scientific and the esoteric.
And that can be really empowering.
Right.
For people who are looking for a deeper understanding.
Earlier, we talked about environmental factors triggering seizures.
Yeah.
Did they go into more detail about that?
They did. They specifically mentioned electromagnetic radiation from cell phones and Wi-Fi routers. They were also concerned about the effects of certain chemicals and pollutants.
So it's not just technology in general.
Right. They were pointing to specific sources that could be causing problems.
And they think those things can trigger seizures.
Well, they didn't say for sure.
Right.
But they thought it was worth looking into.
It makes you wonder if there's a connection between the increase in epilepsy and all the technology we're surrounded by.
They didn't say that directly, but they were definitely concerned about how technology affects us energetically.
It's definitely food for thought.
Yeah, for sure.
It wasn't all doom and gloom, though, right?
No, not at all.
They also talked about the potential for positive change and even spiritual growth.
That's right.
In people with epilepsy.
They described people who turned their epilepsy into a catalyst for personal growth and spiritual awakening.
What do they mean by spiritual awakening?
They described it as like a heightened awareness. A deeper understanding of yourself and your connection to everything around you.
Wow.
Like the challenges of epilepsy could lead to a more meaningful life.
So it's about finding meaning in the midst of suffering.
Exactly.
And that meaning might not be easy to see.
Right.
It might take some work to really understand it.
It's about going deeper.
Right.
Looking beyond the surface.
There's always more to the story.
Always.
These hypnotic regression sessions are definitely unconventional.
Yeah, they're out there.
Do they acknowledge that some people might be skeptical?
Oh, yeah. They said not everyone would buy into these ideas. They said it's important to be open-minded, but also to trust your own intuition.
So you don't have to believe everything they say.
No, you take what resonates with you.
And leave the rest.
Exactly. That's the beauty of exploring these different perspectives.
Right.
They can shake up our assumptions, expand our awareness,
and ultimately help us figure out what we believe.
Right. Our own unique understanding.
One thing that keeps coming back is this idea that there's more to epilepsy than meets the eye.
Yeah, there's more to it than just the physical symptoms.
We need to look at the energetic, the emotion, and even the spiritual.
They want us to think outside the box.
They do.
And that opens up all sorts of possibilities.
For understanding, healing,
and transformation.
It's been quite a journey so far.
It has been.
Exploring all these different perspectives on epilepsy.
And there's still more to come.
Right. We'll continue our deep dive in part 3. Where we'll delve into even more intriguing insights from these hypnotic regression sessions.
Looking forward to it.
And we're back for the final part of our deep dive into epilepsy.
Yeah. This has been a wild ride.
It really has. These hypnotic regression sessions or something else.
They really make you think.
They do.
Yeah.
We've talked about so much already. Energetic disruptions, the subconscious environmental factors.
Right.
But there's one thing that really stuck with me.
Okay. What's that?
Well, in a lot of the sessions, the subjects talked about a sense of purpose or even a mission associated with epilepsy.
Yeah, they talked about people with epilepsy being chosen. Like they have a special role to play.
Like it's not a disorder.
Right.
It's a different way of being.
A unique sensitivity.
Did they explain what that special role might be?
Well, they said that people with epilepsy are more sensitive to energies and might be able to access different levels of awareness.
So their nervous systems are wired differently.
Kind of like they're tuned to a different frequency.
So it's not just about challenges.
Right.
There's a potential gift there, too.
Exactly. They called them pioneers.
Wow.
Exploring the edges of consciousness.
That's a powerful way to look at it.
It is. It shifts the whole conversation.
Yeah, from limitation to possibility.
But how does that fit with all the suffering that people with epilepsy go through?
That's a good question.
The sessions acknowledge that the challenges are real.
Okay.
But they said that suffering can be a catalyst for growth.
So it's not about ignoring the difficulties.
No, it's about finding meaning in them.
And that meaning might not be easy to find.
Right. Sometimes you have to dig deep.
It's a reminder that there's always more to the story.
Yeah, always more than meets the eye.
Earlier we talked about healing and transformation. Did they give any advice on how someone with epilepsy could start that journey?
Well, they didn't have a step-by-step plan.
Okay.
But they said self-awareness is key.
Okay.
And mindfulness
Yeah.
and connecting with your inner wisdom.
So basically pay attention to your body.
Yeah, listen to what it's telling you.
And be open to different approaches to healing.
Exactly, both conventional and alternative.
It's about taking charge of your own well-being.
Right. You're not just a passive patient.
These sessions are really empowering.
They are. They give you a sense of agency.
As we wrap up this deep dive,
Hmm.
I'm just amazed by all the different perspectives we've encountered.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind.
We've gone from environmental triggers
Uh-huh.
to entities and spiritual missions.
It's a lot to take in.
It is, but even if some of it sounds far-fetched,
Right.
it makes us think outside the box.
It expands our awareness.
There's still so much we don't know about the brain
Absolutely.
and consciousness.
It's a vast and mysterious territory.
That's what makes this exploration so exciting.
It is. It keeps us curious.
So what's the one thing you hope people will take away from this deep dive?
I'd say it's this. There's always more to the story. Don't be afraid to question, explore, and embrace the unknown.
That's a great message.
There's so much wisdom out there waiting to be discovered.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this incredible deep dive into epilepsy.
It's been our pleasure.
We hope it sparked your curiosity and inspired you to keep exploring.
Yeah, keep questioning, keep seeking, keep discovering.
Until next time, keep diving deep.